In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a new Rainbow Loom Hershey Kiss charm. So what you will need is one loom, and you want to have it set up in a rectangular shape so that the pins are all in line with one another, and you want to move your blue connector pieces towards the outer ends of the loom. So we're going to be working with a length of 5 pins at the widest part. So you just want to make sure that the blue connector piece is away from the length of 5 pins. And you want to have the arrows facing towards you so that the open ends are facing you so you can reach your hook in to pull the bands. And you're going to need 33 rubber bands of whichever color you choose to make your Hershey Kiss. I have a metallic pink color for my wrapper, and then you will need 3 additional bands. I've chosen white for the little tag that hangs out of the Hershey Kiss, the paper part. So as I've said, we're going to be working with the length of 5 pins. So we're going to be starting on this bottom row on the 4th pin up from the left side of the loom, and the band is going to be placed up and diagonally to the right. So for all of this bottom layer, I'm going to double the bands just to make it tighter. So I'm going to put the band on my hook, twist it, and put it back on so that it's doubled. And I'm going to go from this 4th pin up and diagonally to that center row. And then this also needs to twist to make a figure 8. And then from here I'm going to come back down and diagonally to that bottom row. And once again I'm twisting and putting this band on twice. So I'm doubling the band, and then as I'm putting it on, I also want to twist and make that figure 8. And then from here, I'm going back up again. So I'm doubling this band, and then placing it, and again twisting it as it goes on. And then one more time, I'm going to go from this center pin and come down and diagonally. Again, doubling that band, and then placing it on and twisting it. And so now we've gone the length of 5 pins, and so now we want to go to the pin above here in the center row, and we're just going to work our way back down in a zigzag pattern, crossing over everything we just put on. Again, all of these bands will be doubled, and all of these bands will have a twist to make that figure 8 so it doesn't fall apart at the bottom when we take it off. Now I'm going from here diagonally back to that center row. I'm going to twist it and push it down. You always want to keep pushing down. And now from here I'm coming back down to that bottom row with a doubled band. I'm twisting, and then finally from here I'm coming back up to that center row. So I'm just going to double it and twist and push that down. So that's what the bottom layer will look like. And now that I've done that, I'm going to add a second layer. So once again, I'm going to be starting on this far left pin in the bottom row. So this time I'm just using single bands, and I don't need to twist anymore. I'm just going to zigzag my way up. I'm still going to be going the length of 5 pins. And then I'm going to get to the top here. And then I'm going to go to the pin above and just zigzag my way back down. Again, I'm just using single bands, and I don't have to twist anymore. These bands that I'm working with are more rounded than some of the other brands, and they're thicker, so they're filling up the pin a little bit more than maybe your bands would. And now I have 2 layers on. You can see that there are doubled bands on all of that bottom layer. So it's 2 bands on the end pins on that bottom layer and then 4 bands on all of the center pins. So what I want to do is on the end pins, I'm grabbing 2 bands at once. It's that doubled band, and I'm pulling it over the top. And then for all of these 3 center pins, I want to grab 4 bands. So I'll do 2 at a time. So I'm grabbing 2 and pulling it over the top. And then I'm grabbing 2 more and pulling that over the top. And then I'm moving up to the next pin. Again, I'm grabbing 2 bands at once and pulling it over, and then 2 more bands and pulling that over. So these doubled bands will definitely be tighter and a little bit harder to do. So grab the 2 bands and pull it over the top, and now 1 more set of 2 bands and pull it over. And then finally at the top, I just have the 2 bands and pull that over. And then I'm going to flip to the other side and repeat that. So I have the 1 set of doubled bands on the end, and then now I have 2 sets of doubled bands on the middle, so I'm grabbing 2 and then 2 more and push this down. And now again I'm grabbing 2 bands and then 2 more as well and push down. And this is my last pin. I have 4 bands to remove, so I'm doing 2 and 2 more. And then finally at the end I just have that 1 set of 2 bands to pull over. And I'm going to push all of this down. And now I'm going to add a 3rd layer using the length of the 5 pins. So I'm just using single bands. Just going to work my way up to the top. And then again I'm going to the pin above and I'm going to work my way back down. And then once again, I want to remove that bottom layer. This time I don't have any doubled bands to worry about, so I'm just going to be removing 1 single band from the bottom of the end pins, and then 2 single bands from all of the center pins. So I'm just getting 1 from the bottom, and then I'm just going to work my way up, removing the 2 bands. And then 2 more from the next, and then just 1 from the end, and then repeat that on the other side. I have just 1 band on the end, and then 2 for all of the center pins. And 2 from this next one. And then finally, on the last pin, just 1 band. Now I'm going to push all of this down. And now what I want to do is narrow the length of the Hershey Kiss. So I want to switch to only 3 pins instead of the 5. So for this next layer, I'm just going to move in to the pin to the right here from where I was initially working. And I'm just going to zigzag up. But I'm going to stop right here, 1 short of the end, and then I'm going to go to the pin above and then work my way back down. And now what I want to do is take the 2 bands on each of the ends here, and I want to move them into the center. So I'll start at the bottom left here, take this band on my hook and move it diagonally up and to the right. And then I'll take the band on this center pin and move that down and diagonally to the right. And then on the other end, I'm going to take the band on this center pin and move it down and diagonally to the left, placing it right on the top. And then I'm going to take the band on that lower pin and move it up and diagonally to the left. And now I should have 4 bands on all of the pins, so I'm going to be removing the bottom 2 bands. So I'm just going to work my way around. And then flip to the other side. Again, I'm removing 2 bands, the bottom 2 bands from all of the pins. And then I'm going to push all of this down. And now I'm going to add another layer using the length of these same 3 pins. So I'm just going to zigzag up, go to the pin above, and work my way back down. And now I want to remove the bottom layer once again. So on these end pins there are 3 bands, and on the center pin there is 4 bands. So I'm going to be removing the bottom 2 bands from all of the pins once again, because I only want to have 1 left on the end here. I'm going to be taking the bottom 2 bands from the center, and then again from the end. Flip to the other side and again remove the bottom 2 bands from all 3 of these pins. And then once again I'm going to push all of this down. And now there should be just 1 single band left of the color that you're working on, and that's going to go straight up and down in the center. And now I'm going to start on the left-hand side here. The band on the bottom row is going to move up and diagonally to the right and go right on top. And then the pin in the center row is going to come down and diagonally to the right. And then what I'm going to do is grab the bottom band, just 1 single band from the bottom of these 2 center pins, and pull it over the top. I'm going to push this down here so I have some more room. And now what I'm going to do is take the bands on the far right side and move them into the center. So I'm going to take this band on the middle pin and move it down and to the left. I'm taking the band in the bottom row and moving it up and to the left. And at this point there should be 4 bands on each of these center pins. So you want to take the bottom 2 bands, pull them over the top, and now you should have just 2 bands left on each of these pins. And what you're going to do is take your hook and in this bottom row get these 2 bands on your hook and then leave them on. You can hold them on with your finger if you want to. Go to this other pin and grab the other 2 bands. So now you should have 4 bands on your hook, and you want to take this off of the loom. And now what you want to do is grab one of your white bands and you're going to hold it on your hook, and what you need to do is slip this through all 4 of these bands. So you want to make sure it makes it through all 4 of them, and then put this loose end back on your hook and then loop the one end through the other and then pull tightly. That's going to hold those loose ends. And then here is your Hershey Kiss. So when it comes off of the loom, it's usually a little bit squished. So what I like to do is just try and stretch it out a little bit, reshape it. So you can pull it up a little bit and flatten it out at the bottom and it should be in the shape of a Hershey Kiss. And now what I'm going to do is add some extensions onto this part on top here, the white part, to make it look like the paper tag that hangs out of a Hershey Kiss. So I'm just going to put my hook back through, grab another band, I'm going to pull that through, and then again get the loose end back on so I have both ends on. I'm going to get one end loop through the other and pull again to make another knot. And I'm going to do that one more time. Put my hook through, grab this other band, pull it through, and then get the other end of that band back on the hook, loop one end through the other, and then pull rather tightly. And that's going to be what's going to hang off of your Hershey Kiss. So if the bands get really loopy and opened up and you don't like the look of that, what you can do is just tie a knot in the center of it. For example, this center band is looking kind of open. So what I'm going to do is I'll just wrap it around my finger and then just pull it through. Make sure it's where I want it to be, around this center band, in between the two knots, and then just pull it. And then that way it'll make it less loopy looking. And you can do that for any part that you think would look better if it's tighter. You can do it on the end here if you want to. So that was in a metallic pink color. I also have one I made here in silver. And those are those same kind of bands. They're more rounded. And then here is one that I used brown bands on. So this is a naked one. So you can really do any color that you'd like. Now that it's getting close to Valentine's Day, maybe you want to do some pink ones or red ones. Or if you have something with metallic look, so that's close to what the wrappers look like. So that is the Hershey Kiss charm tutorial. I hope that you've enjoyed it. You can always leave me comments on YouTube or Facebook, or post pictures on my Facebook page of your creations. Thanks!